Hello and welcome to Crypto News. Today is the 18th of August, 2026, and the top crypto news is as follows. We need to start with our exchanges, and we will go to Bitpanda, which became the first exchange in Europe to receive a fine under MiCA. Specifically, Austria's Financial Regulatory Authority imposed a fine of 70,000 euros on the platform because it violated MiCA legislation, namely that it did not submit to the regulatory authority a white paper for its cryptocurrencies at least 20 working days before its publication as required by law. It also distributed a marketing announcement prior to the publication of the required white paper, according to the regulator, and that is why it received the fine. As you understand, it was not something serious, fortunately for the exchange, but now regulations have been put in place in Europe, and they will be watching everything, dear audience. From Bitpanda, we will move on to Binance, which according to reports is handing user data over to Russia. Specifically, according to this information, Binance is providing Russian authorities with transaction records and personal data belonging to a client who was accused of financing extremism because he made cryptocurrency donations to various pro-Ukraine organizations that were requesting them. Russian investigators used information provided by Binance as indicative evidence against IT specialist Belenki, who was arrested in September 2025 and is awaiting trial in Russia. According to these records, he appears to have sent $700, not thousands, not millions, just $700 in crypto from January 2023 to March 2024 to the Ukrainian military and to a banned organization. So, as you already know, dear audience, we have said this before and now we are seeing it. The exchanges will hand over information about you to anyone who asks, even to Russia. Even though Binance has left Russia and Russia has been sanctioned from almost everywhere. But Binance will give that information. Moving on, we will go to Bits of Gold, which is the largest crypto company in Israel, which was hit by a data breach, and there are 200,000 customers whose data has disappeared. We are talking about data such as national identity numbers, email addresses, phone numbers, IP addresses, bank account details, and public wallet addresses. According to the exchange, no funds were lost, nor were any private keys, passwords, or CVV codes. But once again, as you understand, either they will steal our data or the exchanges will give it to whoever asks for it. It does not just disappear. To close out our exchange news, we will go to Kraken's subsidiary company, which is joining the Glasswing group. This is a group that gains access, if Anthropic permits, to companies that have access to Anthropic's best models, such as Claude, in order to see if their systems have any issues and to resolve them before those models are released to the public. Moving on, since I was talking about companies, we will go to Strategy. We learned that it is selling MicroStrategy shares worth $334 million, and its dollar reserves have reached $4.8 billion. Meanwhile, Bitmine continues to buy Ethereum and purchased $19 million worth of Ethereum, reaching 4.9% of the way to the 5% of Ethereum supply it wants to acquire. And for one coin today, we will go to Harmony, which has officially announced plans to roll back its blockchain following the exploit it suffered, in which essentially 3 trillion ONE tokens were counterfeited. We should note that this has now been confirmed because when I first reported this news, it was a possible plan to roll back the chain. It was not certain, but now this appears to be the path they will follow. Now, turning to our beloved crypto market, we will look at Bitcoin, which is standing at $64,000 in the shadow of statements by the American president that he will bomb Oman if Oman prevents them from reopening the Strait of Hormuz and ending the war with Iran. And I should mention that there are also reports of a new agreement between America and Iran for a 60-day ceasefire again, but we will see how well that works. Nothing is certain. Now, turning to interest rates, I want to tell you that, as you already know, there are 29 days to go and everything can change. One thing that is certain, however, is Goldman Sachs, which says that a Federal Reserve interest rate hike in September is a very unlikely scenario because, as the bank says, and as we have also seen from last week, the economic data is not at its best, and for that reason it considers it very unlikely, as it characteristically states that we will see a rate hike in September from the Fed. But I will tell you that tomorrow we also have the FOMC meeting, where the Fed chair will come out and speak to us about the economy, so perhaps we will be able to understand what he intends to do in the coming period with the American economy. That wraps up the top news for crypto today. Is the 18th of August, 2026. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care, everyone, and have a good day.